Here are 3 reasons why I believe your tax planner or your tax strategist can actually be the most important person on your entire team. Once you've got a business up and running, of course, it takes a core team, some smart people in order to get the ball rolling. Once you've started making money, you're going to get into a situation where you're going to have to pay taxes. Everybody has to pay taxes. And it's not always the most exciting part about business. With that being said, if you have the right tax professional helping you throughout that process, it can actually be a huge opportunity for you to reinvest into your business and to continue growing the business, all while not giving away the majority of your income to taxes. You just have to be strategic about it. In this day and age, we have people who are literally professional tax planners and strategists that can walk you through that process. Now, because I'm not a tax professional and I'm not somebody who is able to advise somebody in taxes, I can only give you so much information, but you do have to go out on your own and find that person that's the right fit for your team. First things first, I think the most important thing that you can do with the tax planner is getting the right structures in place. You've heard about all these different business structures. There are LLCs, there are corporations, there are trusts, there's so many different business entities and types of entities. The idea of a business entity is that it's typically a separate identity or a separate entity from an individual. So an individual has a social security number, but a business, because it's a separate entity, it has a tax ID number. So think of the tax ID number as literally a social security number for that business. And because that business can be identified by that social security number, so to speak, or that tax ID, it can receive income. Let's say I'm a contractor or I'm somebody that has a business. And if my business is cash flowing, there are only certain things that I can write off as an individual. So I'm going to put everything through my business. I'm going to have my business collect all this income. And the business, because it's a business, it has its own expenses, right? The expenses and write-offs look very, very different than on the personal side. And so when you're on that business side, you really put yourself in the driver's seat when it comes to your taxes. You're able to literally go down the list. This is exactly what I do. I go down the list and I look at the different things that I can write off as a business. For example, if I had to travel to do an event, or I had to speak somewhere, or I had to spend money on equipment, I had to buy these computers and lights and cameras and all this stuff, this is helping me grow my business. So those are business write-offs for me. And for you, I would definitely look at what exactly your business is and speak with a tax professional in order to identify what those things are for your business. But for my business, it worked out that all this equipment that I have here in the office is a write-off. And so I was able to write that off of my taxes for that year, right? Another really big one that I really like is real estate. That's another one that I invest in all the time for the tax benefits. Private jets as well. If you guys aren't familiar with the industry, private jets, they're kind of in a class of its own when it comes to tax write-offs. So definitely look into private jets, and I would identify if you have the ability to write that off of your taxes. I can't give you direct advice whether it's a tax write-off or not, but I would definitely do some research around that area because there are big tax breaks in those specific industries. And we've been able to take advantage of a lot of those as a business. So anyways, on the personal side, you're pretty limited as far as what you can write off because you're an individual. You're not an entity that collects income, pays employees, pays contractors, buys equipment. So it's a whole different ballgame. And I remember when I made that transition from being an individual to being a business, I was able to take advantage of many more write-offs than I was as an individual. So the first part is getting all those structures in place, getting all the LLCs in place and getting your corporations in place. And they're all taxed differently. That's the thing. So you have to understand how those structures work. And I work with a professional tax team in order to set up all my business structures and then keep track of what's going on in each one. It's very, very important that I don't try to do those things on my own because they're professionals. They've spent years learning how to do these things. And I can't just jump in and pretend I know what I'm doing. You really have to stay on point with your taxes in order to make sure that you're paying the right amounts. Now, the second reason that I believe it's very important to hire a tax professional is because of tax planning. When it comes to your yearly income, if you know maybe about how much money you're going to make or how much money you made last year or how much money you project to make this year, you're going to want to think strategically. Okay, what things do I need to purchase for my business that I can actually purchase this year in order to benefit the most on my taxes? And sometimes there are temporary tax breaks. Sometimes it looks like real estate. Sometimes it's something else. Sometimes you're investing into an opportunity zone, right, in real estate, and you have a big tax break there. So the government likes to incentivize people to do certain things in order to get tax breaks. If you kind of follow their lead on what they want you to spend money on, or where they want you to invest, there's usually tax breaks that kind of follow along with that. And so I've been able to take advantage of some of those personally, buying heavier cars, buying real estate, all those things. Those were huge tax benefits for me, and I was able to save money on taxes. And so tax planning, having somebody that you can literally map out the year. If we're going to make $10 million this year, we need to buy this, we need to buy this, we need to buy this, and it'd be best if we bought it this year. Why? Well, we want to get a tax break. We want to make sure that we're planning everything out strategically in order to benefit the most this year and then next year as well. Because if your business is growing, if you made 10 million this year and you're going to make 12 million or 15 million next year, you have to know that, hey, if I have some larger purchases that are going to not really make too much sense this year, maybe I should make them after January 1st. Because if I do it after January 1st, it's going to start counting for that next year. So maybe I'm going to benefit more if I do it next year. And this is exactly why you want to have a tax planner, in order to help you plan out that process and then actually go out and execute on it. And then finally, the third reason why I believe it is so important to have a tax professional is because of tax minimization. Now, you never really want to just not pay your taxes. That's not a good idea. I highly recommend paying your taxes and paying them correctly. However, there are certain things that you can do to minimize your taxes. The tax code actually contains certain things that you can buy or spend money on that allow you to literally pay less in taxes because you've spent money on the things that the government wants you to spend money on. With those things, you have to be strategic as well. You can't just go blindly buying everything. But let's say, for example, I need to buy an office, right? So if I go out and I buy an office space, that's going to contribute to my tax write-offs. So for me personally, that might be a big benefit this year. Maybe I need to buy a work vehicle that weighs over 6,000 pounds. That's a benefit for me. Or maybe I need to host an event in order to gather all my investors and raise capital. Well, guess what? That's going to be a business expense for me because I'm spending money to fly out there, to rent out a venue, to get all the investors in there. But when they get into that room and they hear the presentations and they meet me and they do all these different things, they're going to see that, hey, maybe I want to invest with this guy, or maybe I don't want to invest with this guy. And so if that's helping me grow my business and if it's helping me grow a profit, it's usually something that I'm able to write off personally on my taxes. For me, that's an opportunity to not only invest into my business and keep it growing, but also minimize the amount of tax that I'm paying, of course, still adhering to all the legal standards. So those are 3 things that a tax professional can help you do as a business owner. So make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.